Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And we'll continue where we left yesterday. Yesterday, we were talking about, we started with distribution management and a quick revision. We spoke about why distribution is needed. We spoke about the various discrepancies. We went ahead and then we spoke about how these discrepancies give rise to the various flows. We further went ahead and discussed how these flows finally helps the customer get the product or service in the form, at the time, at the price they need. We also discussed about the channel design, in which we spoke about, we compared how the channel design for a car versus a soap, and we saw though the needs remain the same, that is the basic, the foundation remains the same. However, when we implemented, the design for the two products is absolutely different. That brought us to the next question, which was, so how do the products reach the customers? And that's where we started with logistics management. In logistics management, I told you there are three things: warehousing, inventory, and transportation. We discussed warehousing yesterday. Today, we will start with inventory. So let me share my screen with you. At any point of time, you have anything to contribute, criticism, suggestion, question, just unmute yourself and please ask. So 1 minute. Yep. So this is where we ended yesterday, and today we are talking about inventory. The first question, why do we need inventory? Well, we need inventory because of acquisition, production, and transportation. Now, what does it mean? It means that when you are sourcing the raw materials, at times, it's if we source a bigger quantity, then it's cheaper as compared to sourcing a small quantity. To understand it in more detail, most probably just think about your everyday normal life. When we go out to buy something, we find that if the 1 kg is for a certain amount, however, if I buy the same thing for 5 kgs, it is slightly cheaper. Now put it on a bigger scale. So when you are sourcing raw material on a large scale, the same applies over there also. And the moment you source more, it results in inventory. So you wanted 1 kg of powder, 1 kg of washing powder. However, because 5 kg was cheaper, you bought it. But however, what has happened? You have inventory. Production, what does it mean? It would be perfect if the car companies or any other company could manufacture just the amount of product or goods that are required by the customers. For example, a car company gets 4 orders and it makes 4 cars. Perfect. However, that's not how things work, because they have to run a factory, and a factory has to be functional at all times because you're paying the people over there. Plus, this is not how you run the factory. You open it for 3 days and shut it down for another 15 days. The moment you have production all the time, it results in inventory. Finally, transportation. Half truckload and full truckload, I told you yesterday, is far cheaper than sending most probably an empty truck or a truck which is not half truckload. The moment we do that, we have inventory. Yes, we have inventory as safety stocks. We have inventory for perishable products or seasonal demand also. So when we are talking about inventory, always remember the ultimate objective is enough, but not too much. So yes, we should have a little extra, but not too much extra, because please understand, inventory also means cost, which means you are incurring a cost, and you do not want to incur unnecessary cost, because inventory is part of logistics management. And as I told you yesterday, there are 3 objectives: cost reduction, capital reduction, and service improvement. So yes, we have inventory so that our customers do not go back empty-handed, but at the same time, don't forget that this has to work in sync with cost reduction and capital reduction. When I'm talking about inventory, obviously this is true. When I'm talking about inventory, yesterday when we were talking about your warehouse, I told you that it's important that how you store the products. So most probably a fast-moving product should be near the exit, whereas a slow-moving product may not be near the exit so much. Why? Because we want to reduce the movement. Now, the question comes, so how do I classify inventory? Now, usually how the classification is done is by the ABC analysis. On a very, very basic level, what is ABC analysis? And we will not go into the details as such. It is classifying the inventory on the basis of the important parameters as defined by any organization. So for any organization, if the parameter that if a product which sells more is a very important parameter, then they will classify inventory on the basis of that. What does it mean? Those products which are high on that important parameter will become A category, the others will become B category, and the others will become C category. In short, it means that products which are in A category are extremely important for the organization, while the products which are in C category compared to A category are not that important. Accordingly, an organization can then plan the inventory for these products, the movement and storage of these products, so that at the end of the day, while the service improves, the cost reduces and the capital reduces, and we have inventory which is just enough and not too much. We spoke this, I showed you this yesterday. For those of you who were there yesterday, we worked on it, and this was what we derived, what we came up with. Somebody asked me about scheduled receipts. So I agree, it was my fault. I should have put 500 here, but I explained this to you. The moment I put this, I hope it is clear. And the whole point was that when we have information transfer happening, then we can actually book the products when at the right time. In this case, it is 2 weeks lead time, so that the products have come at a time where it is just enough. I explained to you yesterday that if we order here, then the products would arrive at this. So if we order here, then I will have 600 over here, which we don't need. We are unnecessarily incurring cost, and therefore we should not order at this point. On the other hand, if we order here, then we lose out on customers here, because here I'm only left with 20, and by the time these 500 will come, I would have lost this week. So I hope the way I have explained to you inventory today, now you understand how important it is to order at the right time, so that we have inventory which is enough and not too much. Why? It's a time which is important. What is also important is the order quantity, or what we call the economic order quantity. And this is one topic on which we are going to spend some time on. So what is economic order quantity? Economic order quantity is that amount of, give me a minute, where did it go? Sorry. So economic order quantity is that amount or that quantity of inventory which ensures that the cost, total cost incurred on inventory is the minimum, which means that if we order 500 units, the total cost incurred on the inventory is minimum at that point of time. But how do we decide whether it is 500 units or 400 units? So I'm going to solve, this is a little, very little mathematical, but I'm sure you'll all understand. So what is, as I said, the total cost should be minimum. So let's first understand what is, let's first understand what do we mean by total cost of inventory. So when we say total cost, we are talking about the total cost of the goods. So cost of goods. We are talking about holding cost. And we are talking about ordering cost. Now, what is cost of goods? You would understand what is holding cost and what is ordering cost. So let me explain with an example which maybe is part of your real life. So you order pastries. Okay, so now when you order pastry, how do you order? Either you order online, or you pick up the phone and order, or you go to the bakery shop and you get the pastries. In all three cases, you have incurred a certain cost, right? Whether it was that online thing where you incurred the internet cost, whether it was the phone, or whether when you went to buy it, whether even if you went walking, it was an effort which you made, and therefore there was a cost which you incurred. And this cost which we incur for ordering is called the ordering cost. The very unique thing about ordering cost is that it does not depend on the quantity. What does it mean? Had you ordered one pastry, or had you ordered 25 pastries, your phone call would still cost the same, your internet would still cost the same, and your walking would still be the same distance. So ordering cost is not really dependent on the quantity. Then what is holding cost? Now you have got the pastries. You keep it in the warehouse, which is called fridge. When you keep it in the warehouse, which is called fridge, you are incurring a certain cost. You're incurring a cost for the space that it is occupying, where maybe you could have kept something else. It is incurring in electricity cost. And so there is a cost which you are incurring in order to store that product. And this holding cost is dependent on the quantity, right? So this is a total cost of inventory. Now, when we are talking about EOQ, what does it mean? EOQ says that the economic order quantity, or the quantity, should be such that this total cost is minimum, right? So let's do this little mathematics. And when I do this, so let me classify. Do it with me. It will help you if you can. So let this be the total inventory cost. Okay, I'm just trying to give certain figure, some nomenclatures. Let P be price per unit. Let Q be the order quantity. Let Q, this be, economic order quantity. Let D be the annual demand. So how much do we need in the whole year? Okay. And let K be the ordering cost. And let H be the holding cost. Okay. So as I said, holding cost or carrying cost, this is per unit. So this is dependent on the units. However, ordering cost is not. You would not remember the nomenclature, so let me put it in a manner that I can solve here. At any point, if you don't understand anything, as I said, unmute yourself and ask. Okay, now let's now put it in a mathematical model. The moment you put it in a mathematical model, then T is equal to P D, tell me if I'm wrong, plus K D take a minute and see if you understand what I have written. If I'm wrong, stop me. If you don't understand something, ask me now. So what have I done? I said, what is the total cost? I said, total cost, go back over here. It says cost of goods. So what is cost of goods? Price per unit and the annual demand. So if the price per unit is 10 per unit, and I'm going to buy 100 units in the whole year, simple, 10 into 100, right? Then it says the holding cost. So I'll put holding cost later, but holding cost, so holding cost is dependent on the number of units. Now you would wonder, why have I taken Q by 2? Because we are just taking an average. So when the warehouse is full, the quantity will be Q. When the warehouse is empty, the quantity will be 0. So what we have done, we have taken an average. And so H into Q divided by 2. And then the holding cost. So what was the holding cost? The ordering cost. So what is the ordering cost? So this is K, and ordering cost, if you remember, is not dependent on the quantity, but it is dependent on the number of orders, right? Every time if I order, I incur a certain ordering cost, and therefore it is D divided by Q, where D is the total demand and Q is the quantity. Either you are very intelligent or you're not understanding anything. If there's any question, ask me. Okay, I assume you're understanding everything, and we proceed further. So go back to your mathematics of class 8, and you had done calculus and you had done derivatives. So when you had done derivatives, if you would remember what is derivative, or differentiation, it is rate of change. And when we do rate of change, so what do we want? We will do differentiation of this equation. Why will we do differentiation of this equation? Because we want the rate of change of the total cost to be minimum. We want to find out that point where the rate of change of the cost is 0 with respect to quantity. So we will differentiate this with respect to quantity, which is Q. The moment I differentiate it, if you remember the differentiation rules, this becomes 0 is equal to PD will become 0 because there is no Q over there, plus, I did not write plus, this becomes, sorry, this will become minus, yeah. Minus K D divide, sorry. You remember the differentiation rules? I hope you do. Minus Q. Okay, this is going to be an issue for me because I have to put this as a subscript, superscript. And I'm not sure whether, yeah, okay. Yeah. Plus, anyone who can tell me what will happen to HQ divided by 2? This will become H divided by Q. And this is still a... So this is our equation, and obviously if you solve it, I'm sure you people can solve it after I have differentiated it, you will get that EOQ is equal to EOQ square. This is your EOQ equation, where this is yes. So this becomes square root of EOQ is equal to square root of 2 dk by h. At this point of time, let me just take a break and come back to you people and understand if you are understanding what I'm talking about. Any questions till now? Have you understood the mathematical thing that we did? Are you clear with your 8th class and 9th class maths and derivatives? Well, maybe you are. Okay, we go back. And I'm so sorry. Yeah, we go back, and this is your equation. So your economic order quantity is equal economic order quantity square is equal to 2dk by h, where d is the demand, k is the ordering cost, and h is the holding cost. For those of you, this would obviously further result in EOQ is equal to square root of, so this should be square root, I'm not sure whether, square root of this entire thing, 2dk by h, right? So this is your formula for EOQ. Economic order quantity is an extremely important concept because, as I said, this is the point. This is the quantity which helps us in minimizing the total cost. To understand it in more detail, look at this graph. So when we are looking at this graph, there is an ordering cost and there is a holding cost. Look at this. This is the, and this becomes the total cost. This is the point where the cost is minimum. And therefore, this point gives us the EOQ. And this is exactly what we have done. We first found out what is the total cost. We then differentiated it because we wanted to understand the point at which the rate of change for the cost is minimum. The moment I did it, we found out the formula for EOQ, which is square root of 2dk by h. Look at the surprising thing. EOQ is not dependent on the price of the product. P does not figure in this formula, which means the price per unit is not a factor which is influencing your economic order quantity. I told you yesterday also, I showed you various, when we were speaking about warehousing and other things, I think all these equations, you can translate them into beautiful graphs, and this is that graph, the equation which I have solved in simple language. This is the graph which will emerge, and this is the point which helps us know that what is the economic order quantity. So at this point, I have an example with me. I'm not sure how many of, maybe we'll take it towards the end of the class, and we will, or let's just do this example quickly. So you have the formula with you. So it says the annual requirement B is 10,000 units. The cost per order is 40. The cost per unit is 50. And the yearly carrying cost per unit is 5. Can you find out the EOQ? Of course you can, because all the information that we need is here. So those of you who are interested, can we quickly do this? And the moment I do this, I have all this information here in front of me. I have the formula in front of me, and it says that EOQ is equal to square root. So I will put square root of 2 D. What is D? 10,000. Sorry. 10,000 D into K. What is K? 40. I've spelled out everything for you. Divided by H. What is H? It is 5. Can someone solve it for me? The moment you will solve it, I think it will be 20,000. I think it will be 400, but just check. Let me take out my. Yes, 400. So 400 is the economic ordered quantity. Fantastic, great. Now, how do I know whether this is the point, this is the quantity which gives me the minimum cost? So you can actually find out the total cost. And what was the total cost? The total cost was price of the product into demand. What is the price of the product? It is 50 into 10,000, right? Then it was the holding cost. Go back to the formula. Then it was, yeah, then it was your carrying cost. So what is sorry. Lost it. Your carrying cost, as it shows over here, is 40. So it's 40. And into number of orders. So 10,000 divided by 400. Why am I dividing 10,000 by 400? Because I need to understand how many orders. And plus, then finally, it was the holding cost. And the holding cost was 5 into number of units into, again, 400. The moment you will solve it, and then you can change the figure. So what you can do is, instead of 400, you can put 500 and see, does the cost increase, does the cost decrease, and you will see that the total cost is minimum as long as the EOQ is 400. Okay? So this was about the economic order quantity, but however, when we are talking about logistics management, it's not just inventory. There is a third thing also, which is called the transportation. So when we are talking about transportation, what I have for you today is the economic survey of our country to help you understand the importance of logistics management. In very simple language, transportation comprises of airways, roadways, railways, waterways, and of course, a combination of one or more. What is the importance of this? The importance of this is, if I open our economic survey of 2019-20, somewhere it says that the contribution of logistics to the GDP of the country is around 14–15% compared to 9–10% of the so-called developed countries. My God, what does it mean? It means that this makes our products that much more expensive. So if we can reduce our logistic cost from 14–15% of the GDP to somewhere down 10–11%, as in the other developed countries, can you imagine how much would it affect the cost of the goods? And the moment it will affect the cost of the goods, maybe our exports will increase, and also even for the domestic market. But then that brings me to the question that why is it more, and on what basis am I saying that is it more? So I'm not going to tell you just by some vague examples. As I said, this is the economic survey. Let me pick up examples from here. And this talks about targeting ease of doing business in India, and it says case studies of India's performance in logistics in specific segments. This is page number 139. Let me just go to page 139 and show you what we are talking about. Yeah, so these are some of the case studies which has been shared. So let's begin the first one. Look at this case study of exporting apparels, and it says that tracing an apparel export consignment from Delhi to United States. In Delhi, in India, it started from Delhi, shipment ready at the factory, day 1. Transport of the shipment via truck, train to JNPT. So look at this. We are using a combination of 2 types of transport, truck and train. By the way, for your information, India has the 2nd largest roadways in the world. And in spite of that, you know, what we are suffering from is, yes, the condition of our roadways, and not only that, our expressways, which are taking so much of load, though they are not supposed to take so much. In most of the countries, waterways is used extensively. Unfortunately, India is blessed with a number of rivers. We are a country which is blessed with natural resources, but we do not use waterways for our domestic businesses. It's still roadways all the time. We have the finest railway network in the world, and yet railway 2 is not being used to the extent maybe it should be, and obviously there are reasons for it also. roadways has a huge benefit that it gives you door-to-door delivery, while for others, I still have to travel. Obviously, airways is extremely expensive and is used for only very, very costly products, or if you're sending samples, etc. But look at this. So it says it started from Delhi and it goes to the JNPT by a combination of truck and train. It takes 5 days to reach JNPT. And then in JNPT, it takes 14 days for all the documentation to occur, for all the documentation to be cleared, before finally the product can be sent to US. And once it arrives in US, it takes precisely 3 days from the day of reaching the port till the day it reaches the buyer. Please compare. 14 days, 3 days. Look at the, no doubt, our logistics, the amount we are spending on our logistics is far, far more than what is being spent in other countries, which makes our products so expensive. Another case. Here is a product from Mirzapur to New Jersey. So it goes from Mirzapur, it goes to Haryana. Again, it goes by truck. Then it goes to Piyala, custom clearance, etc. Everything happened at the Mundra seaport and so on. It takes 4 days. Then it goes to, from Piyala, it goes to Mundra port. Over there, all this clearance happens. Count the number of days. 2, 4, 6, 6 plus 4, 10, 10 plus 2, 12 days. On the other hand, once it reaches a New York seaport, it takes 5 days to reach the consumer. Look at the amount. You might say, oh, that here it is very far, there it may be near. Okay, forget about the travel time. You just see how much time we are spending on the ports and how much time they are spending on clearing things at their port. Just look at that. Only 3 or 4 days. That's all. There are many, many examples. So let me most probably, we've been talking only about garments. This is about car. Look at electronics. It's talking in hours now. Again, it goes from Bangalore to Hong Kong. When it travels, the total time it is taking over here is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and here it's taking 7. The comparisons. So, as I said, logistics is an extremely important part of our GDP, and we are spending a lot on the logistics. We are spending a lot on the logistics because of various reasons. It's not that we do not have the resources. India is a country which is really, really blessed with natural resources. We have everything. We have the mountains, we have the oceans, we have rivers, we have desert. You name the climate, it exists in India. We have roadways, we have very good railways, and yet somewhere we haven't been able to utilize the opportunity the way we should have in order to compete. No doubt, this makes us suffer on our export. This makes us suffer even when we pay a far higher price for the goods that we use in the domestic market. The processes most probably need to be smoothened further, and it's not that progress hasn't taken place. In the last 20, 30 years, we have seen enormous progress. Progress is happening almost every day, but there is still a long way to go. And unless and until, so we may have all the formulas with us in terms of warehousing and inventory. We may know our stuff in terms of transportation, but until we put everything together, logistics management cannot be strengthened, right? And which is such an important thing for the entire distribution management. At this point, let me